Yeah, OK, well, I think what we need to do now is we need to talk to the chap from the BBC who got sacked. But before we do, let's watch the video that he made, which I think is brilliant.
Ron Reed.
It'll be freezing this Christmas while our money goes abroad. It'll be freezing this Christmas. Rachel Reeves is a fraud. It'll be cold, so cold, without fuel at home this Christmas.
So they raised 50 grand for Age UK. We had a bit of a debate about which one that was, but OK, it's Age UK, and the BBC are not very happy about it. Had it been Badenoch's going to lose the election next year by Gary Lineker, they'd have probably knighted him. But anyway, Chris Middleton is with us. Chris, first of all, I think we should thank you on behalf of the country for the money that you've raised for Age UK.
Oh, well, thank you very much, and thanks for having me on.
It's ended badly, though, hasn't it? Can you explain what happened? Do us a favour, explain to me how you came up with the idea of doing this and what happened after that.
Sure. Well, the initial idea was just a bit random, really. It sort of came into my head, and I thought it was a good idea, which is why I pursued it. You know, we all have a sort of a million ideas all the time, and we kind of just leave them by the wayside. This one I thought was quite good, maybe could raise some money, so I thought I would pursue it. And then obviously it has this political angle. It is, of course, against the government's policy, so it's against the government.
And therefore the BBC, because that's their political media organ.
Well, yes, exactly. So what can you say? I was going against the government. I lost my impartiality by doing that, and therefore...
That was their excuse. And you were, what, a freelance newsreader or something, weren't you?
That's right, yeah. I've been a freelance newsreader for the past 6 years.
And they just stopped hiring you?
Yeah, well, I had shifts booked in all through December and January that were all cancelled 2 weeks
And did they literally say to you, we've cancelled you because we don't like the fact that you've had to go at Starmer?
Political bias.
Well, they didn't put it in those terms, but they said I'd breached the impartiality rules.
But did you ask them why Gary Lineker is still alive?
He's leaving though, isn't he, soon?
I mean, I remember with the BBC, I remember when Gary Lineker started tweeting, somebody said to me, oh, Andre, what's going to happen? I said, the chairman of the BBC will resign in disgrace. And they said, what? And I said, because he's a Conservative and he's the chairman of the BBC. And they said, what is the connection between Gary Lineker and the Conservative chairman of the BBC? I said, I've got no idea, but I guarantee you the end result will be Lineker will not be sacked, the chairman will be sacked instead.
They all went on strike on Match at Day, didn't they? Do you remember? Shearer and all that? And he showed that he had too much power there. They should have just got rid of all of them and used it to get some new people in. But their excuse was he's a sports presenter, so it doesn't really matter, you know, he's not news. And that was their mealy-mouthed excuse.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would argue sport is still kind of the news in a way.
Of course
but, you know, Gary Lineker is obviously got a little bit more star power, a little bit more pull with the higher-up people.
Nonsense!
Than I do.
Nonsense!
Don't do yourself down.
I will tell you that if we had a poll now of our listeners and viewers to talk, who do they prefer, Gary Lineker or Chris Middleton? Chris Middleton would win, although I will say, if there was a poll between who do you like more, Gary Lineker or Pol Pot, I think Pol Pot would win. So it's maybe not the best endorsement ever, but you can rest assured that we like you more than Gary Lineker, don't worry.
Well, yeah, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that.
What will you do now? Because presumably, in a time when the economy's going badly, you've lost a lot of income.
You could do a Rachel Reeves record.
Yeah, I've lost a significant chunk of my income from doing this, but you know, I thought it was the right thing to do, and I've raised a lot of money for charity. I've got the issue back in the news. You know, the government came in and they brought the winter fuel cut in July. It was one of the first things they did. It wasn't in the manifesto, and I think they thought they could do it in the summer. We'd maybe all forget about it by the winter, and I think my song has brought it back into the limelight. So we did that. We've raised some money for charity, And yes, I've lost a bit of income from it, but I think it was well worth it.
No, I'm just thinking out loud, having nominated James Whale for an MBE, I think at 50 grand, you're probably competitive for a British Empire Medal. I wonder if we should nominate you under Starmer's government to get the British Empire Medal for services to charity. That would be absolute genius. Absolute genius.
Do it. Let's keep the troll going. Why not?
Have you got any other jobs on the horizon, though, in the future? Or are you going to change career, or what are you going to do?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not really sure. So I was just a freelancer, so I do have some other work as well. So I'm not completely destitute, but I have lost some income.
What about
now
talk?
because of
No, I'll tell you what we'll do right now. The producer will give you my email address. I'm going to ensure your CV gets to Denny Morris, the boss of this channel, simply because I think that, I mean, I don't know if there's any work and I can't speak on his behalf, but I think that we would welcome somebody like you, somebody who's stood up for the country, somebody who's defended the viewers and listeners, somebody that has raised money for charity.
And creative. I mean, the trouble with the BBC, it's not very creative. They're all just sitting around their offices, and it's because this is a commercial place. You know, banter at the BBC, do you? Because everyone's scared of saying something. You know what I mean? It's all silent.
I think that's a good point, to be honest, Ash, and that's partly why I remained as a freelancer there. You know, I was offered full-time jobs over the years, but it wasn't really my cup of tea to be there all the time.
And it's not the gravy train it used to be.
Will you be making any more songs?
Well, that's the number one question that everyone asks me. I've had the farmers asking me for a song.
Does Shamima know it's Christmas time?
There's loads of material. There's loads of material to use for it.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Who knows? Maybe this is the thing, though. I don't want to force it. You know, it has to be a good idea. I don't want to come out.
You don't want to be the Barron Lights.
I don't want to come up with a rubbish second song, and then everyone just thinks, "Oh, this guy's crap," you know.
Great. All right. Well, look.
The tough second single.
We'll get my email address to you. Let's get your CV in front of the boss. I will say one thing. I just want to make absolutely clear, because I don't speak on his behalf. But I will make sure he gets the CV, simply because I think everyone listening to this and watching this will say that the BBC is the wrong place for you anyway. So there we have it.
Thank you very much, Andre. I appreciate that.
That is Chris Middleton.